welcome to EMAX Balling. I'm Thomas Larsen, and this will be my ball review of the new Symmetrical from 900 Global. And we're going to learn two things in this video. One, we're going to see what the Symmetrical does, how it reacts, and two, we're going to learn why you should never trust your friends without double checking what they tell you. So when I was getting ready to test the Symmetrical, I thought it's pretty strong, symmetrical, a lot of surface, hybrid. So I wanted to test it on something where there's quite a bit of oil, a little bit of length, something fresh. So I was sure that there was enough oil for the ball. So I'm getting the oil machine out and I ask one of my friends, who shall remain unnamed, what pattern should I test it on? I don't really know a couple of these patterns that's in the machine, and it didn't say any details about it. So I asked him, what should I test it on? And he says, oh well, Taj Mahal. That's like 41 feet, 27 milliliters. And I thought, all right, that's pretty okay. That should give me a good indication of what this ball does. So I oil, I throw a couple shots, and this hooks a ton. I'm like, all right, but we'll keep going. And as you can see, when I'm practicing here, definitely the ball's a little too early and it hooks a little too much for what I'm bowling on here. But it is what it is. Like, that's not uncommon. Come to find out, after I'm done bowling, I look up Taj Mahal to see what it actually is, and it turns out it's 38 feet. So obviously this wasn't the pattern I wanted to test the Symmetrical on, but it actually gives me a pretty good indication of what this ball does. As you can see, it's too early, too strong for this pattern. So every time I miss left, it picks up too early, goes through the face. But it actually looks pretty good when I get it to the right. It's nice and smooth, very controllable, which is what you want on 38 feet. I actually decided on doing something and changing the surface of the ball. But let past Thomas tell you what I did. So I feel like the Symmetrical is a little too dull right now. It looked really dull from the box, and I feel like it's a little too early on what I'm bowling on right now, what I'm testing it on. And I kind of want to try and see if it's a little bit shiny or what it does. So I'm going to put a 3000 on it on a spinner, and we'll see what it does. That looks a little smoother, a little more similar also to my Zen Master. So let's see what it does. So after the surface changes to 3000, the Symmetrical is a lot cleaner, it's a lot easier to get down lane, which on this pattern matches up a lot better. You can actually see that with the surface change, I can actually allow myself to move a little bit further right, which is probably closer to where you would want to play this 38-foot pattern. So that's good. Also, you can see that the Symmetrical is very smooth. So that's actually a really good thing, because that allows me to create more control. It allows me to keep my ankles a little more closed. Even though it is as strong as dull from the box as it is, it's 1500 out of the box. It doesn't take off on the back end, so it allows me to kind of play that early friction, get the ball started early, and then have it be smooth and really controllable, allowing me to play a little bit closer to the gutter on a pattern like this, or play a little more close down, straighter angles, which I really like, and I know a lot of other people like that. It's not as strong, and the core's not as strong as something like a Reality or a Gem. So you're not gonna run into the same issues of those balls being, what would you call, like too core strong, where the core makes them burn up. Because of it has the weaker symmetrical core, you still get this really rounded motion that just keeps going, which is really what you want for a step down from the super strong ball. So I can see the Symmetrical being really good for, especially for lower rep players that need a strong cover, dull cover to get the ball started early, but they still need that round shape, very smooth, continuous shape to not force them to have to move too far left. And that's what the Symmetrical gives them. It's rounder and the core is not as strong as, for instance, in a gem, which some lower rep players can actually run into issues with, because it might be early enough, but it'll never hit because the core is simply too strong and just rolls, it starts tumbling too much. I really like the gem, and I can really see the Sensole being the symmetrical version of the gem, basically. So you have the gem as the really early, really tumbly asim ball, and then you have the Sensole as the really early, really tumbly symmetrical ball. I think that's a really good way to think about it, and I really like that spot because it is smoother than the other symmetrical balls, so that's good. So I compared the Sensole to the Zen Master, still the same 38-foot pattern, and you can see, even though the Zen Master is a solid Coverstock, it's actually quicker response time, more back end than the Sensole. To me, it feels like the solid cover makes it just be stronger overall. So it's quicker, it has more back end, which also means I have to play further left with the Zen Master. Probably about, after I changed the surface on the Sensole, it's probably about 5 board different for me, where the Sensole, I'm playing further right, I'm rolling the ball, I'm playing more of a roll, smoother reaction, where the Zen Master allows me to move about 5 boards further left and really shape it a lot more. And I really like the move Global made here, because what they did, they had the Zen, which was this strong, shiny, symmetrical ball. Great ball. Zen ball good. Then they took the Zen Master, put a more surface on it, put a solid cover on it, but it still had a lot of the same motion as the Zen. So you basically got a dull Zen kind of thing where you could use it on a lot more oil, but you could still play left with it like you could with the Zen. And now you have the Sensole, which is earlier than the Zen Master and a lot smoother. So you actually have a 3-ball arsenal here of Zens that allow you to play on a lot of different link additions. Because you got the Sensole that you can use on fresh when you have to control it. Then you go into the Zen Master when you have to move a little left, create more motion, but you still have to have the ball pick up. And then you go into the Zen by the end, where the lanes start to be burned up. You have to get through that friction and still have the ball come back on the back end. So it's actually a pretty good 3-ball arsenal just out of Zen balls. I think that's a really smart move, and I think a lot of people are going to be able to have all 3 Zen balls in their arsenal at the same time. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm excited about the Sensole. I think it's going to give me and a lot of other players some options on the fresh, especially if we're bowling on kind of that in-between pattern where the strong asymmetrical balls are a little too strong, but maybe the urethane balls aren't quite enough. Well, for most people that doesn't really exist, but for someone like me, those patterns exist out there where the urethane balls just aren't strong enough, but a ball like my gem or proton physics or something like that is just too strong. Then the Sensole will fit in pretty nicely in between there, where it's still smooth enough, but it is kind of that medium type ball. So I'm looking forward to it. So after figuring out that the Taj Mahal pattern was actually 38 feet and not 41 foot, I decided to test out the Sensole on something with a little more oil on it. So here's a few shots. This is our house pattern, which is 41 feet. A little bit more what I thought I was going to be bowling on. You can see again how smooth it is. It actually picks up a little too early on this pattern even, but it is very smooth, very controllable. And when I compare it to the Zen Master on this pattern, we're still seeing the same differences. Zen Master hooks more of a quicker response time, more back end, and it allows me to move further left, or it requires me to move further left with the Zen Master. So Sensole, early, smooth, symmetrical option. If you feel like it's too dull from the box, just put it on a spinner, put a little bit of 3000 or 4000 on it, or even some polish, and it'll be a really good, smooth, symmetrical ball for you. Something you can use on fresh patterns, something you can use on shorter patterns when you have to create a little more control. I hope you enjoy it, and good luck with your Sense sole if you decide to buy one. And thanks for watching. Please subscribe. It means a lot to us here at EMAX. And yeah, let me know if you want me to do a video on something different and what you think. I'll see you in the next video. There's plenty of more coming.